particularly Westbury Supervisor Joseph Saladino, who's here on my left, and County Legislator Rose Walker, who's here on my right. We also have with us today Councilwoman Rebecca Alicia from Oyster Bay and Anthony Macagnon, Councilman in the town of Oyster Bay, who are here. We have a lot of other elected officials, as I said, who have sent statements in supporting the third track and what we're talking about this morning. I'm just going to mention some of them. That's Mineola Mayor Scott Strauss, New York State Assemblyman Mike Montesano, Nassau County Legislator Sheila Bino, North Hempstead Councilwoman Viviana Russell. I also have today with us some of the board members of my board of trustees from the village of Westbury, Steve Cordy, Deputy Mayor Joan Bowes, and Bill Wise. It's important that we're here this morning as a bipartisan group of elected officials on the main line to express support for the third track project. Third track project has, obviously been percolating a long time. Most recently, I think the media has focused on some of the opponents and some of the opposition to the project. We're here this morning to say that there are many residents, many elected officials, and other stakeholders on the main line who support the third track project. I want to thank Governor Cuomo and his staff, as well as his Department of Transportation and Long Island Railroad, for really what's been a very open and transparent process since the governor announced the project in his 2016 State Address. The governor has been true to his word that the process would be open and that local elected officials and local input would be taken into consideration. All of those commitments have come true. So we're here today, as I said, because the media has been reporting on some of the naysayers, and I think, my personal opinion is that's kind of created a false impression about the project itself. As elected officials, for decades, every one of us has heard constant messages about the problems that affect Long Island as a region. And some of those are the ever-increasing tax burden, loss of jobs, and the inability to attract good jobs, the inability to retain our youth and our seniors in the community, lack of affordable housing, the need to revitalize our downtowns, and a host of other issues. The third track project is going to bring hundreds of millions of dollars of infrastructure investments into our local mainline communities. It's going to create several thousand jobs, construction jobs and support jobs. Those are important, good-paying jobs for our residents. And it's also going to bring a number of public safety improvements to the community railroad service, which are very important. Most importantly, I think in my mind, the elimination of 7 grade crossings that are at grade currently existing along the main line, and that's going to greatly improve public safety. In my mind, the third track project is transformative and it's forward-looking. It's going to help Long Island, I think, start to solve some of the problems that we have. It's going to improve service on the railroad. It's going to improve public safety, as I just said. It's going to advance downtown revitalization by promoting the development of transit-oriented development in the downtowns. It's going to help create affordable housing for our seniors and for our young adults who want to stay on Long Island. Many of these things that we're talking about are going to increase the local tax base, so it's going to alleviate some of the pressures on municipal governments in terms of the tax burden that our residents have to pay. But it takes a forward-looking, positive leadership to kind of get the consensus together that needs to put together a plan to move us forward. I think the third track is a part of that. Governor Cuomo has really provided the initial leadership at the top level, but it's really up to us as local elected officials to provide that leadership in our own communities. It's very easy to find reasons to say no. We're all from Long Island. We all know the NIMBY attitude, and we all know that it's very easy to DQ any project, regardless of how meritorious it might be. But each of us here, I think today, is here not to say no, but to say yes. Every single one of the elected officials who are up here have expressed concerns about the project. That's our job. But unlike some of the people who have expressed concerns and are opposed to the project, we want to move forward in a positive, collaborative way to make sure the project gets done for the reasons we talked about, or I talked about, and we can talk about further, in a positive, productive, efficient way that's as least impactful on our residents as possible. Just to address some of the things that the opponents have talked about, they've said that the DEIS has no detail, And they said it's been a very opaque process and they haven't had a chance to participate in the dialogue. You know, I really don't think that the facts support that view. Frankly, the DEIS is 1,500 pages long. I've read great portions of it. I haven't read it all, but I've read a lot of it. There's a tremendous amount of detail in it. It addresses many of the issues, many of the problems, many of the mitigations that are going to be necessary that the state law requires a DEIS address. And I think it's very important to note that. As I said, it's 1,500 pages, 500 or 600 pages of text detailing in great detail the project, its components. It's got hundreds of charts and data analyses. So there is a lot there. Obviously, there are still questions that need to be answered. However, that's what the purpose of the process is, and that's the purpose of issuing an FEIS. And I have great confidence that when the FEIS, the final environmental impact statement, is released, many of those questions will be answered. So basically, the way I view it is that the ultimate long-term benefits to our region and to each of our individual communities far, vastly outweigh any of the negatives. Any project that municipal government undertakes has impacts. If a village or town is paving roads, it has impacts on local residents. Every project has impacts. The idea is to identify those impacts, if they're negative, to mitigate them. And I think that's been done to a great extent in this process. So I'm not standing here just as somebody who's passively accepting or resigned to the fact that this is getting done. I'm actually here, I'm excited about the project. I think that Long Islanders really should be excited about the project. It's important that for us to solve some of the problems that we've talked about repeatedly as elected officials on every level, that we start to look forward to the future and think about ways to address some of these problems outside the box. Very easy to say no, but I think if we say yes to this project, it's going to bring billions of dollars of spending into our communities, which is going to have many, many, many long-lasting effects. So that's the way I feel about it. I think everybody else who's here feels similarly. That's why they're here.